What's up, guys? Specstar here today with my draft recap for the Mega Beedrill Season 8 draft, and uh, I decided to record a recap here, which I haven't done in a while. I'm not sure if I will be recording any of these games, because as you guys have watched my last few videos, you know it's an ordeal with my laptop crashing. In fact, I know that any second it could do it in the process of this, so I'm going to try and be terse about this. And now the format of this is it's a pretty standard tier A-B tier split draft. So Pokemon are put into tiers, and then there's tier A and tier B with different costs. The biggest difference is that the budget is very restricted. They increased the cost of everything by 20 points, but did not increase the total point budget. So you were dealing with a bit of a purse issue, but here's the team that I've drafted, and for the most part, I think I'm pretty satisfied with it. I'm going to go over all my picks. They're not there in order. They're there in order of tiers, not in order for where I drafted them, but I'm going to talk about my picks as well as I can remember them in the order of how I drafted them. So I had the third pick in the draft. First two Mons off the board were Coco and what's the other one? That's not a right start. Anyway, I had Tornadus Therian and Dragapult. I could have taken either one of them. People are saying Dragapult's better. To me, they're close to even. And I know that Sky, who picked after me, very much wanted Dragapult. So I told him that I would take Tornadus Therian if he admitted that he was indeed 6-0'd by Donphan in the Farm League, which he did finally, after all these years, concede to. So I've taken Tornadus Therian here. It's a lot better this generation with Boots and Nasty Plot. I haven't got the opportunity to use it, but I definitely know the value of it from facing it and some of the added stressors that come to facing it when it can run Nasty Plot. So next up, my second pick was Mega Gardevoir. And this one came, unfortunately, because Mega Metacham was taken in one pick before I was up, and you know I love that Mon. Well, a lot of you know I love that Mon. Gardevoir was the next best option for me. I went for my Mega in round 2 because it's something I never want to be without, a good Mega. That's the place I never want to skimp or cheapen out. Gardevoir actually saved me 20 points as opposed to Metacham, which actually value-wise it's probably better, but it's just a place I don't like to skimp. I'll pay as much as it costs. But I'm again happy to take Gardevoir there too. I think it might have been the earliest Gardevoir went. I'm definitely a proponent of securing a Mega like this early. Gardevoir is phenomenal at forcing kills, and if you have Tornadus Therian, you never want it to really be pressured to do any particular role. You don't want it to have to be your breaker or anything like that. Tornadus is best when it's versatile and it has options. So I would go Gardevoir here to get a breaker, take some of that pressure off. Plus Tornadus has that whole pivot thing going on, which helps get Gardevoir in. And of course they have speed tier synergy. So Gardevoir will be my next pick there. And next up I'm going to take Zygarde. And a lot of people are starting not to like Zygarde this generation. I don't really get it. I think the removal of Hidden Power Ice was a significant buff for Zygarde, and it allows it to punish grasses using bulk, which is a big thing, and it also allows it to offensively pressure on electric types. So I was happy to take Zygarde in the third round. It's actually a tier 1B, which was surprising to me. Again, people aren't really liking it. I don't see why. So I was happy to take it there in the third round. Now, unfortunately, the fourth round would come around, and there were 6 different Mons I was looking at for this pick. I wanted Toxapex, Ferrothorn, Heatran, Slowking, Rotom Wash, or another one, and they all went. So I was really forced to reel here. Toxapex, which I wanted above all, went one pick before I was up once again. So I would instead wind up taking my Roserade. Roserade, I liked having With my first 3 picks, I had absolutely no hazards, and Tornadus was my only hazard removal. Roserade, I liked bringing hazards, absorbing toxic spikes. Uh, Helps a little bit with speed tiers too. Who, type-wise, synergy was pretty nice. I thought Roserade here was just a pretty solid fit. Even if there were some better grass options, I thought that being able to get those hazards early would make me not have to force them later, and Roserade was already kind of a natural fit, so I did like it for the pick there. And it would be a tier 1B, which pretty decent value for it. It did lose hidden power, but in my mind that's actually not as big of a deal as it's made out to be. Obviously Roserade loses some offensive potential, but having coverage and being able to hit what comes in is essentially not much better than just being able to set up a spike if you know that something that walls it is coming in. That does put up great offensive pressure for you. And then in the next round, I'm going to take Bronzong. And Bronzong, Bronzong goes well, particularly with Roserade. It is another Psychic with Gardevoir, which obviously you got to be somewhat concerned about setting up a Ghost vulnerability. But I like how Bronzong and Roserade in particular go together. At this point, I didn't have a rocker. I wanted a reliable rocker I could bring to a lot of my games and set up rocks with. Plus, Roserade is one of the few grass types that don't resist ground, so bringing in Bronzong helps me compensate for one of the weaknesses Roserade does have. It also responds to Psychics, which Roserade doesn't, and of course Flyings, as any Steel would. So Bronzong there is just a pretty good fit with the rest of the team and compensates for some of Roserade's downfalls. By the way, round 5, round 4, grabbing a Bronzong, a Registeel, something like that, I'm all for, because I think if you're looking for a Steel that's a reliable rocker, there's Bronzong and Registeel, which are very good value, and then there's a bit of a drop-off. So that's a move I like to make, grabbing them, and usually round 5 I grab them. And yeah, I grab Bronzong there. So in the next round, I believe the next round was when I took my Milotic. And Milotic, I was pretty much forced into Milotic. I was planning on taking Grimmsnarl, but believe it or not, Grimmsnarl got sniped, which, when does that ever happen? I believe that was one pick before I was up once again, so that was pretty lovely. Grimmsnarl was taken, so I had decided that my plan was going to be Grimmsnarl and then Blastoise for my bulky water. But there weren't that many tier 3s that I really wanted, so I thought I might as well, if Grimmsnarl's gone, I might as well just upgrade my bulky water and downgrade my dark to try to compensate for that. So that's what I would do and take Milotic here. Milotic, it's not my favorite bulky water to use, but it was definitely the best one left in the draft, so not the worst pick in the 6th or 7th round. And yeah, I'll grab that there to kind of seal up my defensive core with Roserade and Bronzong. And then next, actually I think I got Terrakion before Milotic, but they were basically right together, and I basically just picked on which was less likely to get sniped. I would take Terrakion here. Terrakion was just kind of the final piece of setting up an offensive core. As late as it was in the draft, Terrakion certainly good value. It's a tremendous breaker. It definitely helped with my speed tiers, and I had some pretty reliable answers to fighting and ground at that point, so I definitely had the infrastructure for it, plus good answers to steel as well. Look what we got here. Someone wanted to come in and join the commentary booth, but yeah, Terrakion, for tier 2, it definitely stood out in terms of the offensive value it could offer the team. Bleeding my core there, and yeah, that's that round. Next up, a while later, I would be up again, and I would take Hitmontop. The biggest reason for taking Hitmontop is I needed a form of removal that was not Tornadus. Having spikes myself, removal's not the biggest concern, but I definitely didn't want to be in a position where my only removal option was Tornadus. As I mentioned before, Tornadus is in its best where it's never forced into a roll and it can kind of do what it wants. So having Hitmontop kind of frees me up to do that. Plus Hitmontop I thought was good value in Tier 5 because it's been buffed significantly this generation. Getting Rapid Spin, which with Technician is 75 power and raises speed. Triple Axle, which with Technician is 180 power ice coverage. Big deal for Hitmontop. Yeah, I thought Hitmontop definitely got a buff and had some potential to do some work this generation. And compared to the other removal options there was left for me at this point, Hitmontop definitely stood out as the best. Even though I already had another fighting Pokemon and a much better fighting Pokemon, my next best option would have been like Avalugg, Cryogonal. I was even considering getting, what do you call that stupid thing? Turtonator, because it can spin now. I thought it would just be better to get Hitmontop, even if there was Terrakion there. And my next pick here would be Zoroark. And Zoroark was the best dark I could still afford after that damn Grimmsnarl snipe ravaged me. I grabbed my Zoroark, which is I wanted at least a good dark type. I was getting pretty vulnerable to ghosts and psychics a little bit too, particularly psychics of Shadow Ball. And while Zoroark's not exactly the best option there is, and I typically like my darks to have some bulk, the other best darks available at this point were like Spiritomb, so I thought Zoroark definitely stood out up on the pack, and it finally starting to get to a price point in Tier 4B where it's starting to have some value, and I thought it would be good value for that price and contribute on my team a little bit. Now, lastly, I would come up in the end, and I would take two shitty Pokemon in Beheeyem and Luxray. They're both Tier 5Bs, and I thought I could have got Pokemon like Rapidash and Manectric, which just kind of have the best fit on my team synergy-wise. I could have done that, but I thought, when am I ever going to bring these Pokemon? I need to think about which Pokemon will have the most situations where I'm actually going to, it'll be a good option to bring them. So instead of going for Pokemon like that, which are crap Pokemon that just kind of fill roles nominally, I thought I would just grab Pokemon that respond to specific things that are issues. And Beheeyem and Luxray both kind of just respond to one or two, three Pokemon that are particular issues on the team. And basically that's it. They might come one game each. But I knew that there would be probably one game each of them, 1, 2, 3 games where they are a potential bring. But I didn't see any Pokemon in Tier 5B that would have more than one game of use. I did want Dusknoir or Vanillux or Sableye, all of which were taken, so I was kind of left with Beheeyem and Luxray. But yeah, those were the Mons there. Luxray at least has agility, so maybe I can catch someone off guard with an offensive set. And yeah, that's my team here. Tornadus Therian, Terrakion, Roserade, Bronzong, Zoroark, Hitmontop, Mega Gardevoir, Zygarde, Milotic, and then crappy Beheeyem and Luxray. The draft went a little bit rough. There were quite a few huge significant snipes I had to deal with, but overall I think it turned out pretty decent. And it's a very real possibility that this is the last draft I ever do, so I thought I would upload it. Again, I don't know for sure because I've said I was going to retire Mons before, and I'm like a crack addict at this point. I would like to make one more run at things, but who knows? Maybe I'll need my juice and hop back in it. And yeah, I would like to upload this. I don't know. I'm actually surprised how smooth recording this has went. I'm sure I'll probably look at the video and there will be no audio, but if recording does go as smooth as this, I would like to upload it, but who knows? I've had times I tried to record a video and it crashed over 10 times, so we'll see. I want to thank you guys for watching this. Have yourselves a good night.